Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 8th meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. My name is Jamin Kara, ZBA Chair. To my right is Josh Neely, Vice Chair, followed by, to his right, is J.B. Boucher, member, Robert Shaw, member, and I see Steve Lionel's stuff. No Steve Lionel. I guess I just see stuff there. So, and then alternate Joseph Patry. So since we only have 4 full members, Mr. Patry will be voting this evening. I would like to just, before I get into the normal order of business, take one item out of order. It's our understanding that the second item on the agenda, we've received a request to postpone the Morgan Family Investments case. If I may, I would like to take this item out of order and entertain a motion to continue this. I believe the request is to the August 12th meeting of the Zoning Board. Would he
notify to a date certain?
Exactly.
Postpone to a date certain.
Correct. Would anybody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Mr. Shaw.
So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Patry. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? The motion passes. So what that means is this case will be continued until August 12th. There will be no further notification because we have continued it to a date certain. So we will not be discussing that case this evening, and if anybody is here for that case, you can stay and just kind of hear the first case, but you're also obviously free to go.
And Mr. Chair, just for clarification, it is the Kirk Street property. Because that might, and the applicant name might not be obvious for everybody.
Thank you for that, Mr. Shaw. That's correct. It is the Kirk Street application.
August 12th, same time?
Same time, same place.
Do you want to see if Attorney Halls has anything else to add?
Did you have anything to add, Attorney Halls?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take care of all the notifications.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.
Okay, so I'm going to assume everybody else is here for the first case. So just a little bit of explanation as to our order of business. I will also, by the way, note that to my left is Deputy Planning Manager Carter Falk, who assists the board. So the order of business is, I read the case into the record, and then we invite the applicant to come forward. And applicants have up to 15 minutes to present your case. You don't have to take the full 15 minutes, but basically we just ask you to give an overall description of what it is you're seeking to do, and maybe touch on how you feel you meet the criteria. Then we'll ask if there's anybody here who wants to speak in favor of the application. Anybody wishing to speak in favor would also come up to the mic, introduce yourself, state your address for the record, name and address for the record, and then you have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Following that, I'll ask if anybody has any questions, concerns, or wants to speak in opposition to the application. And similarly, any individual will be able to come forward, state his or her name and address, and has also 5 minutes. Following that, the applicant will be invited to come back and has 5 minutes to rebut any issues that were raised or answer any questions. Again, that's optional if you wish. And then following that, we will ask anybody in opposition, they will have the opportunity to come forward and kind of basically say, give the last word. Basically, we have a few different types of applications that come to the board, but this evening, the only application that we have is for a variance. A variance is a request to deviate from the requirements of the ordinance, and in order for the board to grant variance, we have to find that 5 criteria have been met. We have to find that granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest, that it would not be contrary to the spirit of the ordinance, that by granting the variance, substantial justice would be done to the applicant, that there'd be no diminution of surrounding property values, and owing to some special condition in the property, denying the variance would result in an unnecessary hardship to the applicant who's seeking it. So that's basically the requirements, and I think with that, unless there's anything I have missed, I'm going to read the case into the record. This is the application of the Nayak Family Trust, Devendra R. and Naina D. Nayak, trustees. I probably said that wrong. 3 Brayburn Drive, I'm assuming Unit 7. Requesting a variance from Land Use Code Section 190-16E1 for maximum driveway width, 24 feet existing, 24 feet permitted, and an additional 7 feet requested for a total driveway width of 31 feet. This is in the R30 zone in Ward 5. With the applicant, I'm assuming the applicants are present, and so if you, either both of you or one of you want to come forward, come up to the podium and address the board.
Good evening, guys. This is my first and hopefully the last one. I have no idea what to tell you other than we have a 3-car garage and our driveway is the length of 2-car garages. So when we drive out of the 3rd-car garage, inevitably we go over the grass and the irrigation system. Turning backwards is a pain in all the wrong places, with multiple jigs, and aesthetically, it looks horrible, as what my neighbors have told me. So that's one of the reasons for the request for the variance. And hopefully, it won't be hazardous for us as we grow older to get out of that 3rd car and maneuver in and out of that 3rd-car garage going forward. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
That's it.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Neely?
You had noted in your application that this request, is not a safety issue, and it's just about aesthetics. I will tell you, usually when we get these requests, these driveways have all kinds of crazy angles, and somebody is afraid of hitting snowbanks and blah, blah, blah. Yours is beautiful. Your contractor laid that out so beautifully on a nice little curve. I actually was admiring it when I did my drive-by. So if it's not a safety issue, but you just mentioned a few seconds ago about the sprinkler and you were having a hard time getting in and out, so is it really a safety issue, especially in the winter?
It will be.
Okay, so this is wrong. Let's go with your
Well,
verbal.
I asked specifically to that question to ask if it's a safety issue, because
Okay.
that question specifically said, is it a safety issue? And I wasn't sure what it meant by
Sure.
that, but to me, it's more a risk issue than a safety issue. The risk is that you might end up banging the house, getting in and out. The risk is you're gonna break the sprinkler head every so often and keep replacing it. Those are the challenges.
Okay, and this is, I know it's a new development. Is this your first winter coming up with this?
No,
This is your
This is
second
third.
winter, probably?
third.
Third, okay. So was there any issues trying to get in and out during the winter
We didn't use that garage as much in the winter.
because of the
Because
concern of that?
And the
Okay.
snow banks, when the snow plows come, they deposit a whole pile right in front of it, so there's no way you can get out of there.
Okay,
There's no way you can get out of there.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Anything else you want to add?
Nope, unless you have any other questions.
Okay, you're free to take a seat.
Thank you.
Is there anybody present who'd like to speak in support of the application?
I'm sure I'm their favorite neighbor. So I'm Robin Glynn, Glynn, from number 7 Brayburn Drive. I wanted to make a note that we are a small HOA, a small condominium association, and that in the last month or so, we created a letter of support from the officers of the homeowners association, indicating that we were very comfortable with this, we were in favor of it, and that we had no objection whatsoever to the widening of the Nyack family driveway. Any questions for me?
No, thank you. I will note that we do have a copy of the letter, and I will read that into the record.
Good, super. Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak in support of the application? Anybody who'd like to speak with any questions, concerns, or opposition? Seeing none, we're going to close the case and bring it back up to the board for deliberation. Thoughts from the board? Oh, I apologize. I did say I was going to read the letter into the record, and I'll do that now. Forgive me. This is a letter from the Applewood Estates Condominium Association addressed to the City of Nashville Planning Department to the Nashville Zoning Board of Adjustment. The Board of Applewood Estates Condominium Association has reviewed the proposed driveway alteration request made by Deb Nyack of 3 Bayburn Drive, Nashville, New Hampshire 03062. We have approved the request on agreement that the modification to widen the driveway can move forward. That's signed by Richard Papenfuss, President, and Robin Glenn, Treasurer. Oh, and Tad Ballantyne, Secretary. Thank you. So, thoughts from the board? Mr. Neely?
So I did come into this with some concerns, which the applicant did address. You know, when I looked at the application, it said not a safety concern. That's usually the thing I default to when we talk about wider driveways. As I mentioned, I really was loving that driveway because the contractor did a great job laying out that angle there. However, as noted in the application, they're the only house with a 3-car garage. And I think really what has swayed me to be in favor of this is the fact that the condominium or HOA association has says they're in favor. At the end of the day, they're almost a self-governing neighborhood. If they're all on board, and really when we talk about wider driveways, it's all about being fair to everybody in the neighborhood. If they're on board, it's their neighborhood. They're the ones who are going to be looking at it. So for those reasons, I am in favor of this application.
Other thoughts? Mr. Patry?
Yeah, this seems like a pretty reasonable request, and as Mr. Neely said, the other neighbors are in favor, so I don't really see a reason to deny this.
Any other thoughts? Yeah, I would agree, and I did note, I think to Mr. Neely's point, it did look very well maintained, everything looked well installed, but given the distance between the house and the street, it did seem that was, a tough turn. And the widening is also away from West Hollis. It might have concerned me a little bit more if it were in the opposite direction, but to me, it wouldn't have posed any safety risk where it is, so I support the application. Would anyone like to make a motion? Mr. Neely?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance application for the Nyack Family Trust, Devendra R. and Nina D. Nyack trustees, owners, at 3 Brayburn Drive, U7, Sheet D, Lot 500, requesting a variance from Land Use Code Section 190-16, subsection E, subsection 1, for maximum driveway width, 24 feet existing, 24 feet permitted, an additional 7 feet requested for a total driveway width of 31 feet. This is in the R30 zone in Ward 5. Granting the variance would not to be contrary to public interest because this neighborhood is, looks like an 8 or 10 house cul-de-sac run by an HOA. The HOA has come out in support of this application. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed in that we talked about the safety and that the widening of this driveway would actually be away from the main West Hollis Street, so it would not be infringing on that, and there is a safety issue getting in and out of the driveway. Granting the variance would do substantial justice, as the applicant testified. They're concerned about hitting the house, and they have done some damage to their lawn and sprinkler system. So to not approve this would set them up for additional damages and issues in the wintertime. For the following reasons, we had no testimony that the value of the surrounding property would be diminished. However, as noted earlier, the HOA of this relatively new neighborhood did come out in support of this application. As to unnecessary hardship, and the criteria in this paragraph having not been established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if and only if, owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. The property cannot be used in strict conformance with the ordinance. As the board discussed, this is the only house in the neighborhood that has a 3-car garage. It's the only house in the neighborhood that has an angle to get into the third bay. The applicant did note that in the winter they cannot use the bay due to concerns about the cars safely getting in and out of the driveway. We did talk about the fact that the driveway is going to be widened away from West Hollis Street, so we do not think that there's going to be any type of safety issue. And we did note that the homeowners association, where none of the other homes have three-car garages, did come out in support of this. The applicant did note during the testimony that there is a safety concern all seasons during the non-snow seasons when the sprinkler system can be damaged, and in the winter it certainly is negatively affected trying to deal with the snow removal. So for those reasons, I move that we grant the variance.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Boucher. Any discussion? Not all those in favor? Variance request passes. Just be advised that there is a 30-day window of appeal. Since there was no opposition, it's probably pretty unlikely, but you are free to proceed with your project.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you, Carter.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
You also.
Good night.
So next, we have the agenda for our next meeting. That's the wrong one. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
And anybody see anything of regional impact?
No.
No.
I did not either. Moving on, I do not believe we have any minutes.
Nope.
In our package to review.
Well, we didn't have the meeting.
Right, didn't
2
have the
weeks
meeting.
ago.
Last,
So, is there any other business?
no?
Anything anyone else has?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
Moved by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mr. Patry, and I'm assuming we are all in favor.
6:47.
All right.
Excellent.
Not the quickest one, but in the top 10 for sure.
For sure.
Right. So are they gonna try to change that sign then, or are they gonna keep going with the 9-foot? I think that's a sticking point.
I think they're going with the same thing,
Okay.
Okay.
as far as I know. I haven't heard anything else. And we're kind of hoping that Kirk Street kind of reduces that request a little bit. Maybe 2 single-family houses?
I agree with that assessment, that's my idea as well. I actually thought these folks that wrote the letters had some great ideas, and they're all thinking the same thing I am. I mean, obviously somebody's riling them up, but.
The only reason I was disappointed